My girlfriend said, "My friends and I think you're a joke." Before their girls' trip, I replied, "Understood." Then I moved out while she was gone. When she came back to the apartment, a stranger opened the door. "I'm Jake, 29M. My girlfriend, well, ex now, is Alyssa, 27F. We'd been together just over 2 years, living in the same apartment for about 8 months. Nothing dramatic on paper. No cheating that I know of. No screaming matches. Just a slow buildup of disrespect I apparently wasn't supposed to notice. This all started the night before her girls' trip. Alyssa and her friends were pre-gaming in our living room. I was in the bedroom on my laptop, giving them space, because every time I exist near that group, I'm somehow killing the vibe. Around midnight, I come out to grab some water. They're on the couch, wine glasses out, loud in that performative way where everyone is slightly mean but pretending it's confidence. One of her friends, Mia, looks at me and smirks. "Oh hey, you're still up?" Alyssa rolls her eyes before I even answer. "Ignore him. He's sensitive." I laugh it off because that's what I usually do. I grab my water. That should have been the end of it. Instead, Alyssa says, casually, like she's commenting on the weather, "My friends and I were talking earlier, and honestly, they think you're kind of a joke." Everyone laughs. Not awkward laughter. Real laughter. I just stood there, waiting for the follow-up. I'm kidding. Not really. Anything. Nothing came. I asked, "A joke how?" She shrugged. Actually shrugged. "I don't know. You're just safe. Predictable. Not exactly impressive." Then she added, "Don't make it a thing. I'm just being honest." There it was. That subtle line you can feel your stomach drop on. I nodded, took a sip of water, and said, "Understood." She smiled like she'd won something. She left for her trip the next morning. By that evening, I had already made a decision. The weird thing was how calm I felt after she left. No dramatic moment. No pacing around the apartment. I went to work like normal the next morning. Answered emails. Sat through a meeting I barely remember. The sentence just kept replaying in my head, over and over, without emotion attached to it. "My friends and I think you're a joke." Not "I'm upset." Not "we should talk." Not "this isn't working." A verdict. Delivered casually. With witnesses. By lunchtime, the embarrassment wore off, and something colder took its place. Clarity, maybe. I realized this wasn't a slip. This was how she talked about me when I wasn't around. This was the version of me she fed to her friends so they'd feel justified laughing. I got home around 6. The apartment was quiet in that temporary way. Her suitcase gone, her makeup missing from the bathroom counter, half her shoes still lined up like they belonged to someone else. I sat on the couch and looked around, and for the first time it didn't feel like our place. It felt staged. Like I was the extra who forgot the set wasn't real. I opened my notes app and started listing things. Not emotionally, logistically. Furniture, mostly mine. TV mine. Kitchen stuff, split, but I bought the expensive pieces. Lease, month to month. Both names. Savings, separate, thank God. I texted my friend Chris. "Hey, you still got that spare room?" He replied 5 minutes later. "Yeah, what happened?" I stared at the typing bubble and then wrote, "I'll explain later. I'm moving out." That night, Alyssa texted from the airport group chat she'd accidentally left me in. A photo of cocktails. Caption, "Freedom Weekend." I didn't respond. Instead, I started packing. Not angrily. Methodically. Folding shirts. Wrapping electronics. Taking only what was mine. Every item I put into a box felt like proof. Proof that I hadn't imagined the imbalance, the subtle contempt, the way she spoke about me instead of to me. Around midnight, she FaceTimed me. Drunk. Smiling. "Why aren't you answering me?" she asked, annoyed already. I looked at the half-empty apartment behind me and said, "You're busy. Enjoy your trip." She rolled her eyes. "God, don't be weird." I almost laughed. That was the moment I knew I was done. I didn't rush it. That felt important. Over the next 2 days, I packed in waves. Morning before work, evening after dinner. No dramatic music, no revenge fantasies. Just boxes stacking neatly along the wall like quiet punctuation marks. Alyssa texted sporadically from the trip. Random updates, nothing meaningful. Ugh, Mia's already drunk. "You'd hate this place, lol. Did you feed the plant in the kitchen?" That one almost got a response. Almost. Instead, I watered the plant, taped the last box shut, and left it by the door. By Wednesday night, the apartment looked hollow. My desk gone. My side of the closet empty. Even the couch looked smaller without the throw blanket I always used. I slept on the floor that night on a borrowed air mattress, staring at the ceiling fan spin and thinking about how many times I told myself things weren't that bad. Thursday morning, I called the landlord on my drive to work. Explained I'd be moving out by the end of the week. He was surprisingly chill about it. Said as long as one of us stayed on the lease, it was fine. I didn't tell Alyssa that part. After work, Chris helped me load the rest into his truck. He didn't ask questions, just handed me boxes and made dumb jokes like normal. That might have been the hardest part. How easy it was to leave once someone treated me like I mattered. Before I locked the door for the last time, I walked through the apartment slowly. Not to reminisce. To check. Make sure nothing of mine was left behind. No emotional anchors. No excuses to come back. I left my key on the counter. Then I sent her one text. Hey, I moved out. We'll talk when you're back. She read it immediately. 3 dots popped up. Disappeared. Came back. What? Are you serious? This isn't funny. Jake, stop being dramatic. I turned my phone face down. That night at Chris's place, I slept better than I had in months. No tight chest. No rehearsing conversations in my head. Just silence. The next morning, Alyssa started calling. I didn't answer. She landed Friday afternoon. That's when things actually got interesting. Alyssa didn't come home quietly. I know that because Chris's phone started buzzing around 3:30 p.m. He was in the kitchen, I was on the couch, and he just held the phone up and raised an eyebrow. Your girlfriend is blowing up my Instagram, he said. I almost corrected him. Almost. Apparently, Alyssa had landed, taken an Uber straight back to the apartment, and tried to unlock the door. Key didn't work. That's when she knocked, and knocked, and knocked some more. Eventually, the door opened, but not by anyone she recognized. The landlord's nephew had already moved in. Temporary sublet. Early 20s. Hoodie, headphones, confused expression. From what I was later told, Alyssa just stared at him and said, "Who are you?" He said, I live here." She laughed. Like, actually laughed. Assumed it was a joke. Tried to step past him. He blocked the doorway. That's when she lost it. She called me 15 times in a row. Left 3 voicemails. The first angry, the second panicked, the third shaky in a way I'd never heard before. "Jake, this isn't funny anymore. Why is there some guy in our apartment? Answer me right now." I listened to them later. Not in the moment. Because in the moment, I was eating takeout on Chris's couch, watching a dumb action movie, feeling weirdly untouchable. She texted again. "Did you seriously move out because of a joke?" That word. Joke. The same one she'd used on me. I typed one response. "You said you and your friends think I'm a joke. I took you seriously." No insults. No explanation. No negotiation. She didn't reply for a long time after that. Then, finally, "Where am I supposed to go?" I stared at that message longer than I expected to. Because 6 months ago, I would have fixed that problem for her without hesitation. Called around. Offered my credit card. Made space. Instead, I locked my phone and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to a mutual friend texting me. "What the hell did you do to Alyssa?" I knew then this wasn't over. It was just entering the phase where she tried to rewrite the story. By Saturday afternoon, Alyssa had decided I was the villain. I didn't hear it from her directly at first. It came through the grapevine. Mutual friends, half-phrased questions, the kind of concern that's really just fishing for drama. "Did you really abandon her?" "She said you kicked her out while she was gone." Man, that was kind of extreme, don't you think? I noticed something interesting. No one quoted what she said to me, just what I did after. Eventually she called again. I answered this time, mostly out of curiosity. She didn't say hello. "What is wrong with you?" she snapped. No tears now. Just anger. "You embarrassed me. Do you have any idea how stupid I looked?" I leaned back against Chris's kitchen counter and said nothing. She kept going. "My friends think you're unstable. Normal people don't just disappear like that." There it was. "My friends think." I finally said, "You told me exactly what you thought of me. I listened." That was one comment, she shot back. "You're acting like I cheated on you." One comment, I repeated. "In front of your friends. That you agreed with." She scoffed. "God, you're so insecure. You always do this, take things too personally." That almost got to me. Almost. Old reflex. Instead I asked, "Do you miss me, or do you miss the apartment?" Silence. Long enough to answer itself. She exhaled sharply. "So what, you're just done? 2 years, and you don't even want to talk about it?" "I am talking about it," I said. "This is the conversation. Just not the one you rehearsed." She told me she needed time. Space. Said we should reset. once things calmed down. I told her I'd already reset. When the call ended, I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. That night, she posted a story on Instagram. Black screen, white text. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. A few hours later, she blocked me. And for the first time since this all started, I smiled. Sunday was quiet. Too quiet. No messages from Alyssa. No friends checking in. It was like the world collectively decided to let the dust settle. I spent most of the day helping Chris fix a loose cabinet door and pretending my life hadn't just taken a sharp left turn. Late that evening, curiosity got the better of me. I checked Instagram from a burner account I'd forgotten I even had. Alyssa had unblocked me. Strategically, I assumed. Her stories were a soft rebrand. Selfies with captions about healing. A mirror pic with learning my worth. A group shot with her friends captioned, real support system. I wasn't mentioned. Not directly. That was the point. But then she posted a longer one. White background. Paragraph text. She talked about being blindsided. About how some people can't handle honesty. About how she'd supported me emotionally and financially, and how I ran away when things got hard. That one stung. Not because it was true, but because it was close enough to sound believable. My phone buzzed. A text from her sister, of all people. Hey, Alyssa's not doing great. She didn't mean it like that. You know how she jokes. I stared at the message and thought about the word joke again. How convenient it was. How elastic. How it only ever stretched in one direction. I replied, jokes are supposed to be funny to everyone. No response. Later that night, Chris asked if I was okay. I told him I was. And I meant it. But there was something new underneath the calm now. Resolve. The kind that comes from realizing you didn't just dodge a bad week, but a bad future. Because here's the thing I hadn't admitted yet. If I'd stayed, that comment wouldn't have been the last one. It would have been the tone. And I was done auditioning for respect. Monday morning, I went back to my apartment building to grab one last thing I'd forgotten. A box of old notebooks I kept in the hall closet. The landlord had texted saying I could swing by while the new tenant was at work. The place felt different. Not empty. Occupied. But unfamiliar. Like my name had already been erased from it. As I was leaving, Alyssa showed up. She looked rough. Sunglasses on indoors. Hair pulled back in a rushed way that told me she'd cried, and then gotten mad about crying. She froze when she saw me, then immediately straightened up like she'd rehearsed this. So you are alive, she said. I nodded. Looks like it. She crossed her arms. You really went nuclear over something stupid. I didn't correct her. I just held the box tighter. You know, she continued. My friends think this just proves their point about you. I almost laughed at the symmetry of it. Which point? I asked. That you don't have a backbone, she said. Real men fight for relationships. They don't disappear. I looked at her for a long second. The hallway was quiet except for the hum of the lights. And suddenly I saw it clearly. Not just this moment, but the pattern. How she spoke through other people. How her friends' opinions always came pre-packaged as facts. How my job, my clothes, my opinions were always framed as things to tolerate, never admire. I didn't disappear, I said. I left. She scoffed. Same thing. No, I replied. Disappearing is what you do when you don't matter. Leaving is what you do when you finally do. That stopped her. She opened her mouth like she was about to say something sharp, then hesitated. For the first time since this started, she looked unsure. Are you really not coming back? She asked. The question wasn't emotional. It was logistical. I shook my head. No. She exhaled hard, like she was annoyed at the inconvenience of my certainty. Wow, she muttered. So that's it. I walked past her toward the door and said, it was at the moment you said it out loud. She didn't follow me, and I didn't look back. After that hallway encounter, things went quiet in a different way. No more angry texts. No Instagram essays. No friends sliding into my DMs to check in. It was like Alyssa finally realized she couldn't pressure me back into place once I'd stepped out of the frame. A week passed. Then another. I settled into a routine at Chris's place. Same commute. Same job. Different energy. I didn't realize how much mental space I'd been using anticipating her moods until that space was suddenly empty. No bracing myself before speaking. No replaying conversations to see if I'd said something wrong. One night, I ran into Mia, the friend who'd laughed the loudest, at a bar near my office. Total coincidence. She saw me first, hesitated, then walked over with a drink already in hand. So, she said, tilting her head, guess things with you and Alyssa really blew up, huh? I shrugged. Depends who you ask. She smirked. She didn't think you'd actually leave. There it was. The quiet admission. I looked at her and said, that's kind of the problem. Mia studied me for a moment, then laughed awkwardly. You know how Alyssa is. She likes to test people. Yeah, I said. I just didn't realize I was the test. That wiped the smirk off her face. She tried to backpedal. Said Alyssa talked tough, but didn't mean harm. Said I should have known she was joking. Said I'd taken things too far. I finished my drink and stood up. If you have to explain that someone didn't mean harm, they probably did. I left her there, mid-defense. On the walk home, something clicked. Alyssa hadn't been shocked because I moved out. She'd been shocked because I broke the unspoken rule. I didn't absorb it. I didn't argue it. I didn't try to earn my way back into respect. I opted out. And people who benefit from you staying small hate that. That night, I signed a lease for my own place. 1 bedroom. Quiet building. No shared space that could be used as leverage. As I put the pen down, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. The new apartment felt sterile at first. White walls. Cheap carpet. No shared memories clinging to the corners. Just a couch, a bed, a desk, and silence that belonged entirely to me. About 3 weeks after I moved in, Alyssa reached out again. Not directly. She emailed me. Subject line, can we talk like adults? I stared at it for a full minute before opening it. The tone was different this time. Softer. Careful. Like she'd finally realized anger wasn't working. She wrote that she'd had time to reflect. That she'd been hurt and defensive. That her friends sometimes influence her too much. She said she never meant to make me feel small. Then came the part that mattered. She said she missed me. Missed us. Missed how stable things felt. Not me. Things. She suggested coffee. Neutral ground. No pressure. I didn't reply right away. I went for a walk instead. Thought about the hallway conversation. The laugh. The shrug. The word joke. Thought about how easily she'd let other people define my worth, and how comfortable she'd been watching me swallow it. That night, I replied with 3 sentences. I don't hate you. I don't need closure. And I don't want to meet. She responded within minutes. You're really okay just walking away? I typed back. I didn't walk away. I stepped forward. That was the last message we ever exchanged. A mutual friend told me later that Alyssa was shocked I never tried to circle back. That she kept waiting for the phase where I'd soften. Where I'd miss her enough to negotiate. I never did. Because once someone tells you who they think you are, and laughs while doing it, you don't owe them a rematch. You owe yourself an exit. It's been a few months now. Life didn't magically turn into some highlight reel. No glow-up montage. No poetic karma where Alyssa's world collapses and mine ascends. It was quieter than that. More adult. More real. I furnished the apartment slowly. Bought things I actually liked instead of things that looked good for guests. I started cooking again. Real meals, not rushed compromises. I slept better. I laughed easier. I stopped explaining myself. Every now and then, someone still brings her up. Usually with that tone. She's doing okay, but she still doesn't really understand what happened. That part always gets me. Because I understand it perfectly. It wasn't the comment by itself. It was how easily she said it. How comfortable she was saying it with an audience. How she expected me to absorb it, smooth it over, and keep playing my role. How shocked she was when I didn't. Some people think respect is something you negotiate. Something you earn by staying quiet, flexible, agreeable. I learned it's not. If someone thinks you're a joke, the worst thing you can do is argue your punchline. The best thing you can do is leave the room. I didn't move out to teach her a lesson. I didn't leave to make a statement. I left because, in that moment by the kitchen sink, I realized something very simple. I liked who I was when she wasn't around. And once you notice that, there's no one seeing it. So yeah, that's the whole story. If you're reading this and wondering whether you're overreacting to something that felt small but landed heavy, trust that instinct. Respect doesn't arrive louder later. It shows up exactly when it's supposed to. And if it doesn't, understood.